So let's talk about something that's, well, it's way more than just paperwork, isn't it? It's about family. If you're looking to bring your parents to Australia, you already know the process can feel like a huge, complicated puzzle. Our goal today is to basically give you the picture on the box, a clear step-by-step guide based on the official rules so you know exactly how the pieces fit together. Let's dive.
And really, this is what it's all about, isn't it? This is the core reason anyone goes through this process. That hope of reuniting with your kids, of building a new chapter of your life together in Australia. That's the powerful why behind what we're talking about today, the Subclass 143 visa. It's one of the main pathways to make this a reality.
Okay, so what exactly is this visa? The Contributory Parent Visa, or Subclass 143, is a permanent visa. And I really want to stress that word, permanent. This isn't a short-term visit. It's designed specifically for parents whose children are already settled citizens or residents in Australia, and it offers a direct path to living there for good.
To make this whole thing less intimidating, we've laid it all out as a 6-step journey. We're going to start with the very first checks you need to make, then we'll get into preparing your application, gathering all those documents, the actual application process, what to do after you apply, and finally, the decision.
Right. Section 1. Before you even think about filling out a single form, there are a few essential things you've got to sort out. Honestly, think of this as laying the foundation for a house. If you get this stuff right from the very beginning, you're going to save yourself a world of pain later on. Let's quickly tick these off. First, your passport. It sounds so basic, I know, but it has to be valid for them to even consider granting you a visa. Simple as that. Second, have a real think about whether you need help from a professional, like a migration agent. These rules can be tricky, and they can be a lifesaver. And third, this one is absolutely crucial. If you already have another parent visa application in the system, like the Subclass 103, you have to withdraw it when you apply for this one. You simply can't have two running at the same time. Okay, so with those initial checks out of the way, we're now getting into the real prep work. This is where you actually start building your application. And you'll want to pay close attention here because there are a couple of details that can really change how you approach this whole thing. Now, this is a really important fork in the road. You need to ask yourself, are you applying for the very first time, or do you already have the temporary Subclass 173 visa? Because if you're a 173 holder, you're actually in a pretty good spot. You've already passed some of the big hurdles, like that balance of family test. So you probably won't need to submit all that proof again, unless, of course, something big has changed in your family. Okay, I'm going to say this once, but it's probably the most important thing you'll hear today. Everything. Every single piece of information you put in your application has to be 100% accurate and complete. The Department of Home Affairs is incredibly serious about this, and you do not want to find out what happens when they think something is off. And look, don't just take my word for it. This quote from the Department of Home Affairs lays it out in black and white. This isn't just about this one application getting refused. If you provide information that's misleading, especially about who you are, they can literally ban you from getting another Australian visa for a decade. So the takeaway is simple. Be honest, be thorough, and check everything twice. All right, deep breath. Let's tackle the paperwork. I know this part can feel like a mountain, but we're going to break it down into a super clear checklist. Just think of it like a shopping list for your application. So what's on the list? First up, the obvious stuff to prove who you are. Your passport, ID cards, that sort of thing. Then your sponsor. That's your child in Australia. They have their own special form, Form 40, to fill out. If your partner is applying with you, you'll need proof you're together. Then there's the balance of family test. That's just the evidence showing that at least half of your kids are settled in Australia. And finally, some recent passport photos. Now, what if you want to include your children on the application? Well, the rules get pretty specific depending on their age. For any kids under 18, you'll need parental consent, especially from a parent who isn't migrating. For those who are a bit older, between 18 and 23, you have to prove they're still financially dependent on you. And for adult children over 23, they can generally only be included if they have a significant disability that stops them from being able to support themselves. Okay, you've got your pile of documents, but you're not done yet. You have to prepare them the right way. First, if anything's not in English, it needs to be translated by an accredited translator. Second, get certified copies of everything. This is so important. It protects your originals, which you should never send, with one big exception, original police certificates. And please, please, please make a full copy of the entire application for yourself before you mail it out. So you've done all the prep work, you've got your documents ready. Now it's time for the main event, actually lodging your application. And it's really key to know that for the Subclass 143, this is still an old-school paper-based process. The process itself is basically a three-step dance. 1, you fill out the main application form, that's Form 47PA for most folks. 2, you have to pay the first chunk of the visa fee right when you submit. Your application is dead in the water without it. And 3, you package everything up and send it by mail or courier. You can't just drop it off in person. And I have to give you a really important heads up here. If your application is missing anything major, like that first payment or a required form, the department can just call it invalid. And that doesn't mean they'll ask you to fix it. It means it won't even get in the queue. It's so vital to make sure every single box is ticked before that package leaves your hands. Okay, so the package is in the mail. Now what? You just sit and wait? Well, not exactly. The long wait begins, for sure. But there are definitely things you can and should be doing while your application is in the system.
Now here's a pro tip that'll make your life so much easier during the waiting game. You can actually link your paper application to an online IME account. Once the department sends you that acknowledgement letter with your application ID, you can hop online, log in, and import it. This makes it a million times easier to track what's going on, upload any extra documents they ask for, and keep your details up to date. So, what happens if you have that heart-stopping moment? You wake up at 3 a.m. and realize you made a mistake on the form you already sent. First off, take a breath, don't panic. There is an official process for fixing this. The solution is Form 1023. You just use this form to officially tell the department, hey, I messed up, here's the correct information. It is so much better to be upfront and correct a mistake yourself than for them to find it later. Just fill it out and you can usually upload it right through your IME account. During this waiting period, a few things are going to happen. Think of them as milestones along the way. If you applied from inside Australia, you'll probably get a bridging visa so you can stay legally. At some point, you'll be asked to do health exams and provide biometrics. That's just your fingerprints and a photo. And then, the big one. You'll get an invoice for the second, much larger visa payment. You have to pay that before they'll make the final call.
And that all leads us here, to the finish line. After all the paperwork, all the waiting, and all the checks, the department makes its final decision on your application. And really, it boils down to one of two things. If your visa is granted, fantastic news, you'll get a letter with all the magic details, your grant number, the day your visa officially starts, and any rules or conditions you need to follow. If it's refused, they'll send a letter explaining why, and they'll tell you if you have any right to appeal. But it's important to remember that the application fee won't be refunded if it's refused.
So when all is said and done, the big question you need to ask yourself is this. It's not just about forms and photocopies. It's about whether your application tells the complete, accurate, and truthful story of your family. Being incredibly careful and thorough from start to finish, well, that's your absolute best strategy for success on what could be a truly life-changing journey.